Welcome to the High Value Sales Show of Eversprint.com. I'm Malcolm Louie, the managing member of Eversprint, and today we're speaking with Jeff Jenson, the CEO of Utopian Luxury Vacation Homes, a luxury vacation rental company. Welcome to the call, Jeff.
Thank you, Malcolm. I appreciate you having me.
Jeff, you grew your company's revenue from $5.8 million in 2014 to $10.5 million in 2017, an 82% increase. And in 2018, you hit around 12 million. Before we talk about how you grew your company so fast, can you briefly share what your company does beyond my quick intro and how your company differs from the competition?
You bet. We're in the luxury vacation rental sector, focusing on short-term rentals. And what really differentiates us from the competition is our level of services. And so we're a service-based organization, and our primary client and focus is the owner of these high-end luxury vacation rental homes. And we drive that message with a brand promise of ROI first, and second, care, control, and custody approach, where we really take care of their assets and own every component of that. And we plug our owners into a Four Seasons equivalent hospitality platform, so they have all the services that one of our guests would have when they're in the comforts of their own home.
Nice. What were the three biggest drivers of your sales growth from 2014 to 2018, where you grew from 5.8 million in 2014 up to around 12 million last year in 2018?
The primary driver is the inventory in our collection. And so we've been able to grow from around 50 or 60 homes back in those days to 5 times that number today. So we have about 250 luxury villas that are in our collection in 9 different markets. And that's what's really driven our growth. It's that additional inventory. The good news is there's awesome demand for luxury vacation rentals and travelers that like to stay in homes versus hotels. And so we're really just filling that gap with our inventory.
Awesome. How about drivers number 2 and 3?
Sales and marketing. I'm very fortunate in that we have a sales team that we built up really since the inception of the company, and they convert at about double what the industry average is. I haven't had a month of conversion in Park City in the last 3 or 4 years where I got below 20% converting those inbound leads into guests or putting heads in beds. And marketing. Marketing has been a key component. Today, we have less than 50% of our inbound leads come off of the channels, which the channels for us, the 3 big ones are the HomeAway group of companies, Airbnb, and Booking.com. And so we're getting an increasing number of repeat customers that are converting and coming back to us because of their experience in one market. They're now traveling with us into our new markets. And that kind of goes with homeowners too. Once a homeowner experiences our brand promise of ROI, then they tend to buy homes in more markets because it's such it's a great investment vehicle. These homes, your risks are fairly low. You're in a first position. You don't have a lot of outside factors that are affecting it, aside from the economic stability of the country.
So would you say sales and marketing, that would be your second driver, and then more repeat customers would be your third driver?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. Can we dive a little bit deeper into the 3 drivers you shared with me? The first one being your inventory that you have and how you've grown it from 50 to 60 homes to about 250 right now. How do you go about generating more homes to put into your inventory?
The key driver for inventory is great business development or market development partners. As we expand into new markets, well, our goal as a company, our BHAG, so to speak, is 50 markets with 50 homes a market to get us to 2,500 homes. And so what we've looked to do is expand into good, solid markets with good demand for what we do, these luxury vacation rental homes. And I would say that the key to that is finding good business development partners that can recruit and onboard homes into our inventory. That's our biggest driver.
Can you share a little bit more about the partners that you have to help you with this?
You bet. So what we've done is we've set up a business model whereby, at corporate, we take care of a lot of the overhead, the sales, the marketing, the accounting, the owner services, the concierge and guest related services. And then we transition that to boots on the ground in a local market. And that business development or market development partner, we basically split our net margin with them at the end of the day. And therein we, get new markets going, and we're able to attract good people that can indeed, close and recruit homeowners. And so it's a people business, but it's very lucrative for our partners. People that want to get into the vacation rental business and yet they don't really know where to get started. We're a great option for that because we've got all the infrastructure in place. Our websites are working great. All of our SEO related stuff. We have money to spend on Google and other analytics platforms. And so we really provide a platform, almost a turnkey platform, if they can bring inventory. And so that is our biggest opportunity. It's driven our growth. And that's also my biggest challenge, is finding those folks that can indeed close and recruit new homeowners. I put it on par, Malcolm, with, asking when you ask a homeowner to put a multi-million-dollar home in your possession or under your control. Now, I always joke about it and say, yeah, it's like me asking you to take your wife to Vegas for the weekend. Do you trust me to do that?
Right.
And so, it's a big ask, and
right.
And so it's not a position for everyone, but those that can do it and sell at that high level, it's super lucrative for them.
So these partners that you're referring to, are they individuals or are they businesses that are in that space?
They're individuals. Yeah, individuals.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, now you mentioned your biggest challenge are finding these business development people, these individuals. How are you finding them? Are you finding people who are in this business now of persuading, convincing, finding luxury homeowners to rent them out, or are you finding people who are never been involved in the space at all and they want to dip their toes in it and get started?
I would say it's a combination. I'm focused today on finding people that have a background and a history of recruiting homes, whether that's through real estate sales and marketing, or someone that is in industry that has an existing book and has the ability to go out and recruit homeowners. I would say in the last year, I spent the majority of my time finding and recruiting these folks. A lot of them came off of some of the job posting boards, and then we created a very structured interview process. We've used Scaling Up, which is the Vern Harnish book on how to grow your business as really our textbook version of how we're growing. So there's a whole component of that is all about the who, or the people. And it's kind of like Jim Collins says, finding the right people and getting them in the right seat on the bus. And so we've used that as our process for doing these and conducting interviews and trying to make sure that we get the right people on board. Because if our dynamics don't work together, then that seems to be the biggest failure is expectations and then consistency of the brand. And so that's been a big component of that.
Right. Now, I know that that to market your home rentals are pretty heavy on the pay-per-click. You have a bit of a SEO presence as well. Do you apply that same expertise in finding your business development people as well?
You know, I focus on what we're really good at. And so my answer is no. I have not gone to the extent that we market to, to our guests and our homeowners for our people. I think that there's existing companies out there that do a great job of that, and they're not that expensive relative to what it would cost me to do that stuff. Now, with that said, the last couple of years we've been one of the top small business employers in our marketplace, and that credibility has helped us some. The best of Park City, which is where we're headquartered. And yet we have offices in 4 different markets right now. And as we typically grow to about 20 homes, we open a new office. And so that gives you a sense of where we are in those new markets that are coming on.
Right. Can we switch gears a little bit and talk about your second driver, your sales and marketing? Can you talk about
Absolutely.
A few things within that have been driving the success in that area? I know you talked about finding the right people to put on the bus. That's a big component of the sales side of things. Is there anything more you'd like to add about the sales side, and maybe you can also share a bit more about the marketing side?
So I would say that sales begins with marketing, for starters. So the marketing team, we were really fortunate. We were able to find a company in our state after we'd begun our business. We had and we knew that this company existed because they were wholesaling some for us, but it was at the time it was a company called Vacation Roost. It was founded as Mountain Reservations. Originally, it was owned by Patrick Byrne at Overstock, and he sold that company to a venture-backed group, and they'd grown to about 100 million doing wholesale. And so they were wholesaling mainly in the ski markets of the Mountain West at the time. And one of their salespeople that was actually either their number 1 or their number 2 in his tenure there, he was selling a lot of our inventory. And I ended up having an interview with him and recruiting him to join Utopian early on in our business. And it was before that company eventually crashed. They changed their name and changed their business plan and got away from wholesaling and tried to become a channel manager. So, some of the technology in this industry is a real challenge, and they found that to be the case as they switched business models. And so from that crash, I was able to recruit some just unbelievable people. And so I'm going to attribute the majority of my sales and marketing success to the people that were in industry, that knew what they were doing, probably knew more than I did at the time. And they joined us and, have taken off. Today, my director of sales is still that number 1 salesman from that company. And my head of marketing was one of their market managers. And my head of guest services was their head of customer service. And so, finding a company that we could recruit from turned out to be a real boost to our experience level, and I would say has led to our success to a degree.
All right, fantastic. And these all came from those people you mentioned. These were former Vacation Roost employees that you were able to hire?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How long ago was this?
How long ago did we start? Well, we started the company in 2010, and I hired that director of sales in late 2011 or early 2000. Yeah, it was late 2011. So it was a year after starting the company that I was able to recruit him over. Let me think about this though now. Again, he just passed his 5-year anniversary last year. So he's been with us now 6 years. So 2012, I guess, is
2012.
when I started in that. Yeah. And we started the company in 2010.
Right. And then can you explain a little bit by what you meant by wholesaling? What was Vacation Roost wholesaling exactly?
So in the vacation rental space, there's companies that specialize in taking, the hard part of this business is the operations component. And so where firms really earn their money is in doing that care, control, and custody piece of the homes. And so there's firms that have emerged that just sell, and that's all they do. And then they rely on someone like Utopian to do the operations and service the guests in the house and oversee the housekeeping and the property management and all those types of things. And so that's what Vacation Roost was. It's similar to a Luxury Retreats. Luxury Retreats runs that same model. Now they have their own homes these days as well. But they started out as a wholesaler, and obviously there's a lesser commission if you're not dealing with the guest and servicing and overseeing the home. And so those wholesale components out there, another example would be like JetSetter. You can go on JetSetter and book a house. JetSetter takes a commission on that reservation, and then they hand that reservation back to someone like me to actually deal with it and service the guest and make sure they have a good experience.
Right. Okay. Got it. Now, how about in terms of the marketing side? What other than the people that you have driving the marketing, what aspects of your marketing has really been delivering the results that you're looking for?
I would say, again, it starts with my people. I can't say enough, and my hat's off to my team. But beyond that, I would say that the more of this we owned, because we really understand the business. Like when we started, we couldn't afford to do our own pay-per-click and manage our own Google account. And we also didn't do our own web development. And we had, other folks that were providing content and things like that for us. And so as we've grown that marketing department, the marketing department is actually the biggest department in the company today. And I would say that, taking those various roles back in-house and really owning them because we understand the business, and then gaining that knowledge as to, where we find these customers, how we communicate with them, our newsletters, all that type of stuff plays into it. And I would say that that coupled with the operation side, where we're really delivering on that world-class experience, which is our brand promise is ROI is our brand promise. Our mission statement's a world-class experience for all stakeholders. And it starts with the homeowner, and then it goes to our team internally, and then it basically ends with that guest who pays the bill at the end of the day.
Right.
But if the first two components don't understand that brand promise, then we can't deliver it. And so delivering on the brand promise of a world-class experience has led to many, many more repeat customers. And then it's up to our marketing team to communicate with those guests and just make sure that, that they rebook. When they rebook, they come back to us, hopefully directly, and book with us. There's been one of the challenges for marketing has been technology. The technology in this sector is totally fragmented. And so I don't want to get too into that right now, because you're probably going to ask me about some of my biggest challenges here in a minute. But technology being fragmented, we're running like 5 different systems right now, from a different, CRM to different platforms to manage different booking sites. Nothing's integrated, and our CRM's fragmented, not integrated. Our accounting fragmented, not integrated. And so we're taking that on, and we're developing our own software platform that will be a best in class kind of solution. But that's what it's taken to really tie all this together. And I don't think you can do that until you get to a certain size either. So we're fortunate in that, we've grown big enough now where we can afford to do development projects to create a best in class service provider.
Right. Now, your marketing has been mostly focused on finding people to rent the homes, more so than actually finding homeowners to provide their homes. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We've embarked on several initiatives to onboard homeowners. We do have some of that search marketing and things like that going on out there. But as we grow and get into new markets, our web presence grows, and we have a lot of inbound unsolicited leads now in markets where we're established or we're getting established. But the majority of our efforts have been on finding guests to put heads in beds.
Right. And you mentioned this briefly in the discussion of marketing and sales, but you also mentioned earlier about how your third driver is getting more repeat customers and also repeat homeowners. Can you elaborate a bit more about what you do to help encourage that in terms of proactively keeping in touch with them, perhaps, for example, and letting them know when new properties come available or when new markets are hot for the homeowners? What do you do to encourage more repeat business?
I mean, you pretty well nailed it there. We have a mailer that goes out biweekly to our guest list. So those are our existing customers, where we focus on a market, we focus on an event such as Bottle Rock in Wine Country or South by Southwest in your country in Austin. And, in the Coachella Valley, the Coachella Music Festival or Stagecoach. And so we do kind of event specific marketing, and then we do home specific marketing as well. And it's just, it's constantly touching those guests. We don't want to be obnoxious with it. That's why we don't do it weekly. But bi-weekly, we do reach out and let them know about new offerings, new markets that have come on, new homes. That's a component. But I will say that delivering operationally and creating that world-class experience for a guest, if you go to a Utopian house and we've done our job, when you arrive, you're met by a concierge. That concierge has done a pre-arrival inspection on the home. They do a walkthrough of the home with you and answer any questions, show you how to run the technology in the home, show you how to run the TVs, the HVAC, the hot tub, the barbecue, etc. AV systems are a big one. And then they're there for you, and typically they've pre-planned your trip as well. So that guest services concierge has arranged for your groceries, your transportation, your ski rentals, your private chefs to come in, your restaurant reservations, your massage therapists. They've gotten your ski tickets for you, or they've gotten your tickets to Coachella, and so all of the components of a trip that make a trip perfect is what we try to build as a folio for each guest. And so once you experience that, and then you find out, we try to find out as much about our guests when they're in-house as we can as well. So we have a program that is a get to know your guest kind of program. And there's a checklist that we go through, and we won't ever get all those questions answered on the first trip, but typically on the second or third, we will. And so as we know that guest, we know where they went to school. We know what newspaper they like to read, where they like to travel. And so as they arrive in that home, they like to read the LA Times. They've got the LA Times. If it's the New York Times or the USA Today or the Chicago Sun or Herald or whatever it is, we take care of that and provide that just additional level of an experience for them. So, our goal then is to get to know that guest as well as we can, deliver on a world-class experience. And if they have that, then they're not going to go anywhere else, has been our experience with repeat customers. And so that's what we really strive to do on every single guest, is get to know the guest and then provide services that just make their experience, unlike anything else they've ever experienced in a home. And so it is that Four Seasons, Montage, Ritz-Carlton kind of touch and experience that we're trying to generate with that guest. Now, the second component of that is every guest we view as a buyer. And so once they've been in a home and they've experienced Utopian, and then, they're considering buying a home in that market, they'll come into our program. Once they're in our program, as we're expanding into new markets, we do these same types of interviews that you're doing with me today with our homeowners. We really build a relationship with them, and we, are able then to show them a good ROI and deliver on our brand promise. And then that puts top of mind for them as they're in Maui, may or may not be staying in one of our homes, but they know we're there. And they're thinking about a house in Maui or a condo in Maui, then, we're going to be their natural partner in that marketplace.
Right, exactly. Now, can you give an example or maybe share with me? You talk a little bit about wholesalers who will rent out a home and then turn to you to help with the operational side of things. How does the pricing differ between someone who's just renting a luxury home, just the home itself, and then, how much more would they typically pay to get all the other world-class services that you had mentioned?
So in terms of a Utopian experience or relationship and a wholesale, pricing is the same. So if they're booking this through a wholesale agent, the pricing that they pay is the same whether they book direct through us or through that wholesaler. I would say that in an established market like Park City, where we have real close to 100 villas or residences, we're probably 10% higher than the competition in terms of pricing. In emerging markets, we're not. And so in emerging markets, you get all that service for the same price as if you were to go and just book it, through one of these wholesale channels. And then you never really know what you're going to get on the other side in terms of services. So wholesale doesn't necessarily mean no services. Wholesale just means that you don't really know who your partner is going to be on the other side, providing that level of guest services.
Right. Now, when you said before in Park City with 100 villas that you have, you're 10% higher than the competition. Is the competition just providing the home alone and nothing else, or are they also providing a different level of concierge and planning services?
They may, most of them try to provide a concierge service. And I would say that, that's a differentiator for us because we just really go over the top with services. And so, most of the guests have stayed with Utopia and then gone somewhere else. They come back to us. And the feedback that we consistently get is, wow, the level of service with Utopian it creates that experience of Utopia when you're in these homes.
Right.
And so, it's consistent with our brand. I'm not going to say that they don't try real hard because I think that they do. But for us, it's the brand promise and our mission statement that drive it. And, we kept those really simple: brand promise, ROI, mission statement, world-class experience for all stakeholders. So, I can drive that message all the way to the concierge in the field, and he now has the power to say, okay, does this help us deliver on our brand promise? And does it create a world-class experience for, our employees, our owners, our employees, and our guests? And so it gives them a lot of autonomy to make decisions because that's a pretty simple brand promise and mission statement that they can follow. And I'm happy to empower them to go out and make decisions as long as it's consistent with those two things.
Right. Now, for sure you set up the environment where it's really easy for people to come back to you, either as a renter or even as a homeowner and wanting to have your team help with renting it out. Do you do anything proactively to encourage that repeat rental? Do you do anything proactively to encourage your former guests to consider buying a vacation home and having you manage it?
So we do. We in terms of guests coming in, we have things like the pro forma projection of income for that house with the Utopian folder that talks about, the service that we provide in the home. So as they're in that residence, they can look at how that residence performs in terms of revenue. And if it's a real estate agent referral, we rely heavily on referrals and partnerships with real estate agents that have the clients that are looking for a vacation rental management company to manage their asset. So we market also that real estate agent in that home. We showcase the homes that they have listed, and it might not be that particular home that they referred to us that's for sale, but we allow them to, if it's okay with the homeowners, to set up a marketing component within that home. So that's one thing that we do to transition guests into owners. And in terms of repeat customers, that's that biweekly email marketing constantly on their brain when they're in the homes. We've also incentivized our guest services team to ask them about, are you coming back skiing this year? Would you like one of our agents to get in touch with you? We're working right now on a technology component too that's going to play into that huge, with a pad in the home that is customized with content, and encourages them through a discount of 10%, to rebook right now while you're in the house.
Right.
And so those types of components they play into it. A lot of plans for where that's going.
Right. And speaking of plans, can you share with us what your 2019 plans and targets are? You ended 2018 at around 12 million. What sort of revenue growth are you looking for in 2019? I'm a growth oriented and growth minded leader, and so I'm looking to get. We had a 20% growth this year, 38% the year before. I'd like to get us back into that 30+% growth range this year. We've done a couple of things. We're looking for homes that we can long-term lease and lease arbitrage. So if owners don't want to take the risk associated with, what this home can do and perform to, we're willing to come in with a checkbook and write checks and long-term lease properties to sublet them. That's one strategy. Second strategy is mergers and acquisitions. We've engaged a group actually out of Nashville to help us with some M&A work. And they're out trying to source some projects for us right now that we can make acquisitions on. We're self-funded, nice and profitable at this point, which is, somewhat of an anomaly in the space. There's some real big players in the space that are hemorrhaging money. We've grown responsibly and remained profitable with no outside capital since day one. And so we're now looking at some acquisitions as well. Third, I'm really focused on a couple of markets right now and growing those markets. And those markets alone should get us to the same kind of growth that we saw last year. And I've really turned over the business development component of the company to a head of business development. That's one of my C-level executives. And so, I know with the stuff that I'm doing, M&A wise, lease arbitrage wise, we're going to get there. And if we add, what he's able to bring to the table, I think that we'll see at least 30 to 40% growth again this year. Nice. Can you share what the other markets you're focusing on that look attractive?
Well, I would say, right now we're focused on the 9 or so that are on our website. So we really like Whistler. We like being outside of the U.S. with a little bit of diversification there. We're also really focused on Belize. We've got some great things happening in Belize with a great business development partner. We're focused on Cabo right now as an expansion, and have identified a great partner in that market. Getting through the bureaucracy of paperwork in Mexico and getting set up down there has taken us 6 months or so. So that's a little bit of a delay in getting that market off. Hawaii is a big one for us. We're focused on Maui, the Big Island, and Oahu right now. The next market will be Kauai. We're also doing some really great things for housing, for just the housing situation in most of Hawaii is really bad. There's tons of demand and not enough inventory, and especially in the low income HUD areas, which doesn't focus on our business, but we're into giving to get. And so in that market, we're working with the government and implementing a HUD program over there, just to help people in getting into homes. Again, if we can create this reputation of giving to people and helping out in places where we think we can help, then it'll just lead to a better company for us long term. So that's kind of our strategy in Hawaii. We're in greater Phoenix area in a pretty big way, Palm Springs in a pretty big way, wine country. We've had some setbacks up there, but that's another of our markets that we're in. And then Tahoe and pretty well all of Lake Tahoe is another one for us. So we've got some great expansion already in the works. Now we want to make, if we can get 9 or 10 of these markets performing to the level that Park City is, I think we'll be headed down the road of getting to 50. And systems wise, operationally is a real key component of that. And so I brought in a systems expert, very senior, former military lieutenant colonel type, that has succeeded in the private sector as well, and run 3 out of the last 4 companies with or for me. And so he's now heading up our operations and implementing his processes and systems in Park City, and then pushing those into the new markets is going to help us in a big way too. We're just doing that now. We also brought on a real senior level guy in the Coachella Valley that has played big roles at major hotels and like the Ritz-Carlton and the Four Seasons, and is also a developer. And so, I lean heavily into those people as part of that expansion. Now, where we can go, where do you like to go to travel? I mean, that's at the end of the day, the top 50 places you want to go, that's where I'm going to be. And they're not domestic, they're worldwide destinations. And so, it's the best places to travel in the world is where Utopian's gonna put a stake in the ground.
Right. So I'll be seeing you in Bangkok, Thailand pretty soon.
You will. We have some great plans to go to Thailand. We have a great partner over there that's a real estate developer, and that's where we're headed.
Now, to achieve your goals that you've mentioned to me, shared with me just now, I know you mentioned early on in our conversation, the biggest challenge is finding the business development people to help you find the homeowners, right? To get onto your platform. What initiatives do you have in mind that you're looking to push out to help with that aspect of your challenge?
The more credibility we get in the market, the more years that we're on the Inc. 5000, the more that I do speaking wise at conferences and getting in front of people, it seems like that is what attracts the good people to us. And as I mentioned, there's some big companies that are in the space that have trained some great people that aren't performing right now. They're still losing money, and they're surviving on the venture strings. And those folks are starting to look elsewhere. And we had a great interview with one of them yesterday. And I've got another gentleman that's written a book on vacation rentals, and he's looking at Utopian now. So it's I think it's just that letting the market know what we're doing, how we're doing it responsibly. And I don't have the goal of being the biggest. I just want the best properties. And so if we get the best properties in every market, and then we become the best at operating those properties, I think the rest of the story kind of takes care of itself. And so that's where we're really focused right now, is just on becoming the best, having the best properties, being the best operator in the space. And then, that reputation goes to homeowners, and it also goes to those folks that can build and develop the business for us.
Right.
And,
what metrics are you looking at to help you determine if your velocity of getting to the 50 markets, the top 50 markets, is going as planned? Yeah. How do you assess if you need to, focus more resources, more attention on say developing a market and finding more homeowners?
It's 100% growth. So we've set up a goal as a company. Anytime we enter into a new market, we like to onboard 2 properties a month. And so 24 properties in a year. In 2 years, we're to 50, or we should be 48.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the metric that we use and that we look at, and then we gauge. As we set up our system with Burn Harnish and scaling up, we set up KPIs for each department, and each department reports into that dashboard, and every single week. And we do we have a business coach, and we do a call every Friday, and we talk about, where we are versus where we said we were going to be last week. And so there's, we hold the team very accountable. And as a result, things get done. Our head of marketing uses the Trello CRM job board to get things done, and she won the Get Shit Done award this last week or this last year, and all of her team got T-shirts that said just exactly that.
We got shit done.
So yeah, we get shit done. That's
okay.
What we do.
GSD
so
T-shirt.
yeah, that's it. Okay. So if we laugh about it now, but that's a great award to get. She was competing against hundreds of companies, and her team gets more things done than anyone else.
Right. So if your teams are able to do get 2 markets, 2 new properties a month for each of your 9 focus markets, that's like around 100, about 200 new properties, right, to be added to your portfolio.
Yeah.
That's almost double where you are today.
Yeah, so we're 250. Last year we were 120. We doubled. This year we should double again.
Okay.
And if the revenue were to go like it grows in Park City, if we double in Park City inventory historically, then we did double revenue.
Right.
The challenge is you're expanding into new markets. It's not as easy as it is in an existing market where you have 100 homes. And so it takes us a little bit longer to ramp up, but long term those homes should absolutely perform and just keep us growing. So that's the goal.
Right. Okay. And so far, I know you're only a few weeks into the new year so far, 4 weeks into the new year. How's your 2 home per month per market target looking so far?
We're on track so far, and we set a lofty goal for sales of 20% above last year's number for the month of January, and it looks like we're going to be within an earshot of hitting that goal as well. So we're performing from a sales perspective, and that all makes homeowners happy and makes them continue to spread the word about Utopian, because it's we can do as much as we as we do from a marketing perspective, from a search perspective. But at the end of the day, it's homeowners telling other homeowners about their experience with Utopian, or guests telling homeowners about their experience with Utopian, and those word of mouth referrals that work the best. Sometimes I think we're 6 deep in the referral string now in Park City, where we've got a new homeowner that just came on that came from a homeowner 6 deep ago.
Oh, really? Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
A nice.
Yeah.
I think there's a technical term for that, some virality factor. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
3 last questions for you. Say you had a billboard on a freeway somewhere that's moving along at a good clip. Typically, people have only 6 seconds to read and see a billboard. What would be your 6-second message?
Get shit done. That's our philosophy as a company. Yeah, we just do. And so that's what I would put up there.
Okay. And I guess that appeals more to the homeowner side. I guess I can appeal to the renter side too, right? From that concept.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They want anything done and ready to go once they're there. And if anything needs to be changed, they want it to get done as well. So, awesome. Yeah. So the 2 last questions then. Who are your ideal renters? Who are your ideal homeowners? And what's the best way for them to reach your team?
So our ideal homeowner is just a luxury homeowner that has an asset that is 3 or more bedrooms that typically is going to rent for over $1,000 a night. And along the lines of our ideal customer, a customer that likes a high level of service, with a 4 seasons equivalent in a home. And so, that's what we're looking for in terms of homeowners and guests, just folks that want that level of experience. And in terms of how to get to us, the internet's the easiest way to do it. So our website is utopianlvh.com. That's utopianlimavictorhotel.com. And then if they want to call us, 866-675-5455. That number is also on our website.
Thanks for joining us today, Jeff, and sharing how you accelerate your company's high-value sales.
Thank you. I appreciate the time and the interview.
We've been speaking with Jeff Jenson, the CEO of Utopian Luxury Vacation Homes, about his company's rapid growth. For interviews with other fast-growing, high-value sales companies, or to learn how we can accelerate your firm's high-value sales through automation, visit eversprint.com.